What's up, Taiwan? I'm Liao with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has talked with Chinese Defense Minister Dong Jun via video call. Hegseth said that the U.S. is not seeking conflict with China or regime change in Beijing, but he did say the U.S. has Asia-Pacific interests it will protect. Dong said non-confrontation should be the bottom line for both sides, but he also stressed China's claim to Taiwan and said any military attempt to defend Taiwan's sovereignty or use Taiwan to contain China would fail. For a look at what the call between the U.S. and Chinese defense chiefs could mean, John Van Trier spoke to Professor Jia-Yan Chong at the National University of Singapore.
So it's hardly been a smooth few months in U.S.-China ties, and lately China has shown off both its military might and its diplomatic clout with this big military parade in Beijing. So what do you make of the timing of this call between the U.S. and Chinese defense ministers?
So the call seems to be an effort to manage relations, to keep things on a more or less even keel. So it's actually pretty hard to read into the timing. Yes, there's the big parade, there's the renaming of the Defense Department to the War Department, but I suppose more broadly, we do see greater tensions in the South China Sea with regard to the Philippines especially, and of course they're a U.S. ally, and we've recently had reports of PRC drilling off of the Pratas. So I suppose those kinds of actual events may probably weigh much more than just the parade.
So Hegseth during the call referred to certain U.S. interests that he said the U.S. would not be abandoning. Do you think he may have been referring to Taiwan? And what are the implications of the call for Taiwan?
With regard to Taiwan, it is clear, it's been clear for a long time that the U.S. sees the stability of the Taiwan area and the Western Pacific as quite key to its interests. So I suppose in that regard, it has to do with Taiwan. But the call probably has a lot more than just Taiwan. If you look at Dong Jun's response, he made a much longer reference to the South China Sea about foreign actors trying to stir trouble in the South China Sea. So from that, I'm guessing that the South China Sea and the issue with the Philippines might have gotten a little bit more airtime.
And so since this call, we've also seen a call between the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. Do you see this as a sign of a thaw? Could we see, for instance, a Trump-Xi meeting in the future? And may other areas besides defense, trade for instance, be also eased?
So, whether there's a sort of greater easing, I think it's difficult to tell from the calls. Now, whether that has implications for trade, we don't really know. Plus, calls between secretaries are good and they're important, but we also know that in this administration, the president calls the shots very directly, and sometimes he can have his own very clear change of direction.
That was Professor Jia-Yan Chong from the National University of Singapore. Taiwan's cabinet has passed a new special budget focusing on boosting resilience and improving the country's defense. As Alan Liu reports, it's a direct response to China's increasing gray zone threats.
This is the Hualian, Taiwan's fourth 1,000-ton patrol vessel. Just delivered to the Coast Guard, it's part of the country's efforts to boost domestic shipbuilding. Taiwan is looking to pour even more resources into this area, with a proposed $272 million for new vessels designed to withstand strong winds, heavy seas, and collisions. It's just part of a $17.2 billion special budget put forward by the Liao administration, focused on boosting resilience. The plan is getting support from some in Taiwan's legislature. Chen Guanting, a lawmaker on Taiwan's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee, told TaiwanPlus that Taiwan should build more small and medium-sized high-speed vessels and step up coordination with the Navy and local fisheries to respond more effectively. But beyond maritime security, the special budget would also strengthen cybersecurity and battlefield preparedness, while investing in domestic drone production. Comes amid increasing Chinese aggression against Taiwan in what the cabinet calls Beijing's hybrid warfare, which combines military intimidation with gray zone warfare, strategies that fall short of open conflict, but are intended to wear down Taiwan's military. Analysts say this approach is intensifying.
我的观察是，这预算对台湾非常重要，因为现在整个中国的威胁是从灰色地带行动转向高强度灰色，也就是英文可能分法是这种从 light gray 变成 dark gray 的部分，这是它的整个就是样态的转变。
In addition to traditional military hardware, Taiwan is putting more emphasis on what it calls a whole-of-society resilience approach, which combines official responses to emergencies or disasters with a strong civil defense. The special budget will now go to the legislature, where it looks likely to get a majority vote. Delvin Chen and Alan Liu for TaiwanPlus.
A phone call between Vice President Hsiao and a U.S. senator has put to rest rumors about the replacement of Taiwan's envoy. Hsiao posted an image of herself on a video call with Senator Bill Hagerty to X. The image appeared to show Taiwan's representative to the U.S., Alexander Yu, also on the call. Recent media reports speculated that Yu had fallen out of favor with U.S. counterparts and would be replaced by National Security Council Senior Advisor Xu Zijian. Senior officials have called these reports false and said that Yu will continue his duties in the U.S. The Taiwan High Court is reviewing prosecutors' appeal against the release of former Taipei Mayor Wen-je. Is currently on trial for corruption and embezzlement. The Taiwan People's Party founder was released on a $2 million bail on Monday after being detained for a year. Prosecutors said Ke's detention is still necessary until they finish interviewing key witnesses to the case. They also said Ke violated bail conditions by meeting with others involved since his release. Ke and his supporters have criticized the case as being politically motivated. Hong Kong's legislature has rejected a bill to grant some limited rights to same-sex couples.
If today's bill on registering same-sex partnerships is passed, it would be like opening Pandora's box. Our traditional family and ethical values will be breached and collapse. This will also trigger even further intense controversy within Hong Kong society.
The city's government proposed the bill to comply with a 2023 court ruling in favor of same-sex couples. The vetoed bill would have allowed those married overseas to gain legal recognition in Hong Kong, as well as other limited rights such as hospital visitations. Views on the issue remain polarized.
Does our legislative council truly reflect the demands and voices of different groups in society? And when it comes to equality for homosexuals, a human rights issue highly valued in Europe, how seriously do we take it?
This is the first time Hong Kong's legislature has vetoed a bill since its pro-Beijing revamp in 2021. Taiwan's largest semiconductor industry event, SemiCon, is in full swing. One key focus this year is female participation in the industry. Our reporter Ai-chi went to one forum to find out more how the country aims to empower women leaders in the chip sector.
This year marks the 30th anniversary of SemiCon, Taiwan's biggest semiconductor event. And while global cooperation and emerging technologies are key talking points, women are also taking center stage, reflecting the industry's ongoing efforts to expand its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. One forum brought together female senior executives from companies like ASE Group and MediaTek, speaking about challenges women face in the industry. One major issue: lack of representation in leadership. Female engineers in Taiwan's tech industry make up only about 15% of the workforce, and at the executive level, only about 11% are women. But in the semiconductor sector, that drops to 5%. Speakers at the forum say women need to feel empowered to overcome challenges in the sector, and that women have specific strengths that can be leveraged for career growth. TaiwanPlus met with Olivia Liao, Vice President of United Microelectronics, to find out how women can do this.
可是女性就是我们碰到的时候，我自己观察到的状况是，如果男性对男性的时候，好像大家就会比较硬碰硬，然后不会的，好像比较有面子，就会装懂，然后就结束。但是女性来讲，我们就会比较，我自己就比较不耻下问，人家也会很乐意的告诉你说啊，其实这是这么一回事，那就会比较容易破冰，然后在这件事情上来讲就比较容易解决。 我觉得女性的特质就是如同我们知道，就比较细心啊，然后比较沟通能力强啊。其实这个在哪一个领域应该都一样。那我觉得我自己也把这2个特质发挥得很好在这里。那也不只有我，联电总共有18位副总，其中有3位是女性，然后包含我。那另外1位是做成本控管。另外一个是做品质控管，所以我们做的都是属于要很细心，而且需要沟通能力很强的一个工作。
That was Olivia Liao, Vice President of United Microelectronics. As Semicon continues through Friday, more panels will bring together industry leaders from around the world to ensure Taiwan is working with the best to foster fair workplace development. Andy Sher, NIT for TaiwanPlus.
A new tax framework is set to take a bite out of influencers' earnings. Taiwan's finance ministry now defines influencers as people who earn money by publishing creative work or information online. From now on, those with a business in Taiwan, a brand name, sales staff, or online sales above the threshold must register to pay business tax. Small creators will face a 1% value-added tax, while those with annual turnover above $6,200 would be charged 5% VAT. The rules also cover platforms, advertisers, and audiences with different tax rates depending on whether they are based in Taiwan or overseas. Taiwan's athletes took home the gold medal at the 2025 World Archery Championships in South Korea on Wednesday. The women's recurve team, led by 2024 Olympian Qiu Yiqing alongside Xu Xinci and Li Caixuan, defeated Japan 6-0. Their victory secured the nation's first gold medal at the championships in 6 years. Scientists have found an unexpected way of fighting methane emissions from cattle farming, which is a major source of this greenhouse gas. As John Van Triest reports, the solution comes from under the sea.
These flasks of goopy algae are part of a breakthrough in the fight against greenhouse gas emissions. Researchers at Taiwan's Fisheries Research Institute have found that adding small amounts of the algae genus Asparagopsis into cattle feed can cut the methane that cows emit by over 90%. The secret is in the way it alters cows' gut flora, as one researcher explains.
海门冬呢，它最主要的这个抑制甲烷的这个主成分，溴仿的一个主要成分，它可以去使这个瘤胃的菌相是比较趋向于降低甲烷的这个菌相的生成。
The trouble with research into this algae so far is that there isn't much of it around Taiwan. It can be found in some nearby waters, but it tends to disappear in summer. And it's taken several years of lab work to figure out how to grow the algae in the quantities needed for cattle feed on a mass scale. The trick was finding a way to get the algae to thrive, despite competition from many rival species.
会有对应的一个纯化培养的一个方式，去把它做这个汰除，最后只保留我们要的这个4分孢子体，让它在这里面是占据优势的。
And this is more than a scientific breakthrough. It's a business opportunity. Methane is the second most emitted greenhouse gas, and cattle farming is a major source of it. The industry looks forward to using cattle feed with algae to cut emissions. They can then market milk, for instance, as a low methane product.
甲烷的排放量一直是一个蛮大的一个痛点，能够大量的减低这个碳排放量的时候，都是非常一个令人振奋的消息。
The market for fighting methane from cattle farming is now worth $3 billion worldwide. And right now, there are only 7 companies with the tech needed to do the job. Now, Taiwan could soon be home to an 8th. Howard Zhang and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
And thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out the Swiss team winning the Gordon Bennett Gas Ballooning Challenge, traveling nearly 1,500 kilometers to claim the long-distance World Championship. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.